What is up, y'all, and welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Lollyman16 and I'm here for another Dragon Ball Super review. This is going to be Dragon Ball Super episode 124, The Fiercely Overwhelming Assault, Gohan's Last Stand. Now, I don't have a Japanese title this week, I'm sorry about that, but guys, we're getting close to the end of Dragon Ball Super. If you haven't heard the news, it's all over the place. I'm pretty sure everyone here knows about it. But yeah, guys, we're getting about seven episodes away from the ending of Dragon Ball Super, and it's gonna be a hell of a ride. Especially this episode, 124. It was a pretty big ride. Gohan does get eliminated in this episode, and I'm gonna get into that later. My thoughts on that whole matter. But overall, this episode had very solid action sequences, some backed animation, but that's fine with me at this point in the series. And, you know, it features a nice team up between Gohan and Frieza. So this episode, the way it's structured, is we have a little bit of Goku and Vegeta versus Jiren in the first part, almost nothing of 17 versus Toppo, but the main part of this episode was Gohan's quote-unquote last stand. It's Gohan and Frieza versus Dyspo. Interestingly enough, Gohan doesn't actually show up until like the second half of this episode. So yeah, the title is slightly misleading at some points. But anyway, so Frieza in this episode, we did some, got some good stuff out of him. We got some of his true colors, if you will. Because at one point, Frieza was fighting Dyspo, and he was actually bargaining with Dyspo, saying that if Universe 11 revives me completely, then I will help Universe 11 out by eliminating some Universe 7 guys. Very interesting stuff here. I thought that Frieza saying that, it's actually kind of clever on his part, because I guess, what Frieza is thinking here is, well, wait a minute. I can't really trust Universe 7 completely. So why don't I have Universe 11 guys help me in being restored, my life being restored. But Dyspo, being the pride trooper that he is, he does not abide by evil, and so Frieza is left to fight Dyspo alone. Now, the fight between Frieza and Dyspo was pretty good stuff. Dyspo is actually faster than Frieza at some points, but I like the fact that Frieza uses his, other forms of techniques to counter Dyspo's moves. Like he uses his tail at some point to counter his punches and stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Frieza's no joke, that's for sure, and it's shown for sure when Frieza goes golden. That's right, folks. Dyspo overpowers Frieza a little bit using his blinding speeds that are so fast that the God Pad that the Omni Kings Zeno use cannot track it. And so Frieza is forced to go golden, and then at that point he's literally keeping up with Dyspo. It's so fast to the point that even when the Omni Kings use like a slow motion thing on the God Pads, it's not enough. And they're left watching the fight. Even though it's slow motion, it's just too fast for them to track. So Frieza is in his golden form, and I'm glad that Frieza is portrayed as golden. There were some weird issues with stamina and stuff, but those are just really small gripes and nothing major, and they actually serve to be a plot point, which I'll get into later on. But Frieza is keeping up with Dyspo, and at one point Dyspo comes back and he uses his secret move. So he's actually forced to use his secret technique. You guys really should not sleep on this man Dyspo. He is a really strategic, really good fighter, even though his attacks are too linear. And I like the fact that Frieza said that in the episode, which, it's good continuity. Dragon Ball Super has a crap ton of issues with continuity. Holy cow, they're really horrible at continuity at some points. But I think this episode did it justice in that sense. Because Frieza notes that Dyspo, even though he's really fast, it's like Goku said before. his attacks are just too linear, which is kind of strange because I guess Frieza can just hear, everything in the fighting stage. Anyway, that's just a really tiny gripe of mine. Nothing major. But in terms of continuity, that piece of writing was pretty good. So Frieza continues to fight Dyspo, and Dyspo, with his secret technique, Belmod calls it maximum light speed mode, and it overpowers Frieza to the point where Gohan actually steps in, and he leaves 17 to fight Toppo. Gohan steps in, he kicks Dyspo with a big kick, and they're both confronting, Dyspo. And Gohan actually says to Frieza, well, I have to help my allies out, even though you might betray me. In that case, I'm going to wipe you out myself. Like, I will literally knock you out myself, which, pretty badass moment for Gohan. And let's get into the Gohan stuff. So, Gohan and Frieza are fighting Dyspo, but Dyspo is too fast. And so Gohan, being the Universe 7 leader, and yes, folks, Universe 7 leader Gohan is actually addressed in this episode. So, remember a few episodes back when Goku was said to be the leader? No, that's not actually the case. In this episode, again, they did well with the continuity, and Gohan is still the leader. So Gohan is fighting Dyspo with Frieza, and he comes up with a plan to cage Dyspo so that he can't freely maneuver around the fighting stage. So what Frieza does is he lets out these beams of energy from his fingers, and he forms it into like a cage all around the fighting stage. It's sort of like a security laser type thing where you can't touch the lasers or else you'll be shocked. It's kind of the same thing here. So here's where the interesting stuff comes in. So Gohan is fighting Dyspo, and he's actually keeping up with Dyspo. And so does that mean that Gohan is like Hit levels of improvement? Because if you remember, Hit had actually some trouble with Dyspo, at least in the beginning stages. I don't know, I guess Gohan is, he's a good fighter and he's really smart, so I have no problems with this, part of the episode. But Gohan actually overpowers Dyspo at some point, almost, knocking him off the stage. But then once he gets close, Frieza lets go of his grip on the cage formation because his stamina, quote-unquote, let out. Now, this is really a little bit strange because I thought Frieza had trained himself enough to withstand that, stamina issues, but I mean, that's kind of expected because the move requires a crap ton of energy. I mean, he's shooting it from all 5 fingers, and that's a lot of energy, folks. That's a lot of energy. So, Frieza is out of energy, but before Dyspo can move freely around the stage, Gohan actually traps him within his, and this is pretty cool. Gohan traps him in like a coquina clutch type pro wrestling move. Pretty cool. And then it's sort of like when, if you guys remember way back, when Goku held Raditz and then Piccolo fired the Makanko Sappo to sacrifice them both. Gohan tells Frieza to fire a ki blast to knock them both off the stage. And Frieza, being the, sinister guy that he is, he does not hesitate. So I guess it's justice, because last episode, Gohan and 17 tried it and it failed. But then this episode, it doesn't fail, and yeah, Gohan and Dyspo are out. They're both out. And this is a very, very big turn of events that I did not expect at all. So let me give my thoughts about this. So Gohan is eliminated this episode. I think that his elimination wasn't horrible. It was decent, and his strategy was on point, but I was expecting more out of Gohan. I would have liked to see some emotional stuff with Gohan, maybe with him thinking about Videl and Pan on his way to, let's say that Gohan was, although it is kind of cliche, to have Gohan, it's really cliche to have Gohan just like, oh, I want to save the universe, so I gotta power up and I gotta get this new form, which I'm actually kind of glad that Gohan didn't get a new form. Because if you think about it, Vegeta already got a new form, and Goku got a new form, Ultra Instinct. So Gohan getting a new form, that's kind of too much. I know that people were hyping this up, and Gohan even hyped him up himself. Like when he fought Goku in the preliminary stuff before the tournament began, he's told Goku that he's going to achieve a new form that no one has ever seen before. And I think that Gohan, achieving a new form is a little bit too fan fiction type of stuff. I mean, I kind of get where Vegeta, that's kind of fanficky too, but at least Vegeta had some over it. He had good motives with Kaba and the Universe 6 Saiyans, even though it was a little bit forced. But anyway, Gohan does not get a new form, but he is smart enough to knock himself and Dyspo out. So again, I think that Gohan, it's decent storytelling, but I think that I just would have liked to see a little bit more out of Gohan. But anyways, that's kind of it of this episode. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know. Do you think that Gohan, was it a good finale, or was it a good finish, or was it a bad finish, or was it a decent finish? Let me know in the comments. Overall, this episode, great action. We're winding down to the finals of this tournament. I did like continuity stuff that was excellent in this episode. And, Toriyama's storytelling from the beginning is that he likes to lead readers into a direction, and then he likes to just completely turn the tides. Like he likes to make these big plot twists. And I think, Gohan getting out was a big plot twist, and I gotta commend him for that. That's a pretty ballsy move, eliminating Gohan like that. But it was a maybe not necessary, finish for Gohan, but still good by Gohan nonetheless. Anyways, that's 124. Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys at 125 when Topo releases his power. Thank you all again, and stay awesome.